We are reading the book The Absolute Law of Karma. Day 3. Till now we have understood that how are the physical activities that are good or bad in our lives or whatever experiences we had are recorded in our subconscious mind, in our psyche through the mechanism of Antahakaran Chatushtay, which is present in every being and is individual to that being. It consists of the mind, intellect, the ego and the chitta, which is the inner self. Man, buddhi, chit, ahankar. Moving on, human mind has an infinite capacity for storage of information. It is quite possible for the subtle sentient mechanism of subconscious mind to maintain a systematic record of activities of a living being. There is also no contradiction in the one Chitragupt of mythology being countless Chitragupts in innumerable beings. Divine powers of God are omnipresent. The universal life force prana is one, but it is individually present in each living being. So here Gurudev tries to explain the concept of Pran Shakti, which is the vital life force in every being, which is the reason for us being alive, which is the reason for us to breathe. When we breathe in, we are actually breathing in the vital life force. In Hindi, it is called as the Pran Shakti or the Prana. So just as the Hindu mythology talks about the deity Chitragupt, which is actually the Chitta present in every living being inside, this is how the power of God or the consciousness of God gets to be omnipresent inside all of us. And that is why we say that all of us have a part of the divine inside us through the divine powers of God. Similarly, just as this vital life force or the prana or the prana shakti is present everywhere around us, we get to experience only that much as we can inhale or experience or get to feel. Similarly, the subtle celestial elements designated as deities like Indra, Varun, Agni, Shiva and Yam in mythology are also all pervasive. Air, for instance, in spite of being identified as fresh air of a garden or polluted air of an industrial area, is an integral part of the same atmosphere enveloping the earth. Similarly, through inhabiting and operating in numerous bodies independently, the deity Chitragupt is a single universal celestial entity. So here the explanation for how we are all linked to one divine consciousness has been given. Just like we all have individual Chitragupts in our souls inside us, similar, which is actually all a part of the deity Chitragupt, that is one single universal celestial entity. It can also be understood as if there is a big company which has its headquarters at one big city, metropolitan city, and it has small regional offices in all small cities which take instruction from the headquarters but are actually located at other smaller cities for closer governance. It is a very similar structure whereby there is one single celestial divining power, the supreme power, the universal power, which has all its smaller regional offices inside all of the living souls and taking active part in their governance and recording all their external activities to form the karma rekhas in order to give us karma fal later. So that is the universal law of karma. This further elaborates the concept of Paramatma, which is the universal power, the divine power, one single supreme power, and the Atma, which is inside us. So Atma is a part of Paramatma. Just like our Man, which is the mind, which is the carrier of all our desires, ambitions, and which is Man is nothing but a carrier of all our thoughts and desires. So our Man, the single Man, which is linked to our Atma, is called the Vyashti Man. And just like our Atma is a part of Paramatma, the universal power, that Vyashti Man, or our individual mind, is linked to that single divine power, which is the Samashti Man, which is the Paramatma. So that is why there is a concept of the whole world is our family, which means Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means we should consider the whole world as a family. Everyone should be treated equal. You should never consider yourself to be above any other living being, nor consider any other living being any lesser than yourself. And there is no difference between living beings, and hence propagating the concept of equality amongst our consciousness as well. Similarly, Gurudev also talks about other celestial elements who are considered as external deities like Indra, Varun, Shiva, Agni, Yam. So these also should be considered as consciousness. For instance, Agni, the consciousness of Agni, what does it teach us? It is not some external entity or a deity sitting in the astral world whose name is Agni. These are the qualities of the elements by which our body is actually made up of, the 5 elements that our body is made up of: water, air, ether, earth and fire. So Agni is one of them. And air. So no matter whether this air is a part of the fresh air inside a forest or a garden, or the polluted air surrounding an industrial area, it is all the part of the same atmospheric circle which is enveloping the earth. And the same parallel has been drawn with the deity Chitragupt, that all of these are a part of the divine consciousness that is actually inside us, which is the subconscious mind, which is our psyche, which is our Chitragupt, which is our hidden divine Atma that is making an imprint of all external activities, and it's imprinting them in the form of sanskaras, karma rekhas, to be carried over in the next life. This also explains why there is no room for any kind of bhedbhav or discriminative practice or differentiating between two living individuals on the basis of any ground. It might be worthwhile to mention here that how the energy of our body, which is nothing but our thoughts that we think and the emotions that we feel, can manifest into physical diseases if not balanced, or if they stay blocked, or if we are doing a lot of bhedbhav or a lot of differentiation on a daily basis. I was once reading what kind of unblocked emotions manifest as what kind of diseases, and there was a spiritual explanation of autoimmune diseases given, that when we do a lot of ye mera hai, this is mine, or wo tera hai, and that is yours, this is mine, that is yours, and we don't share our things, or we keep a lot of discriminative feelings inside on a very regular basis, even at home or outside, or at a family level, or at a social level, then we can tend to develop autoimmune diseases, because the cells in our body also start thinking the same discriminative feelings, and they start attacking their own friendly cells. And this is the reason that why is it so important to keep our consciousness raised, we stay self-aware, and be very mindful of where our attention is going, because that is exactly where our energy is flowing. So let's do a very quick recap before we move on to the next topic of how does exactly Chandragupta maintain this record? How does this mechanism really work? Right now, we were discussing what is Antahkaran Chatushte. Actually, Chitragupt is a part of Antahkaran Chatushte, which is a deeper level of our physical existence, and also a part of our subtle body, which is the Sukshma Sharir. It consists of the man, which is the mind, the buddhi, the intellect, ahankar, which is the ego, the sense of identification of the self, and the chit, that is the innermost self that carries forward these recordings of external activities inside our body as impressions, as sanskaras, as karma rekhas into the next lives to give us our karma phal. And this chit is actually the element or the manifestation of the deity, single celestial deity Chitragupt inside us. And that is why each and every single human being, not only human being but also all living beings, have part of this divine consciousness in the form of chitta inside them. That also goes on to explain that how everyone has a part of the divine universal power, which is the Paramatma, inside them in the form of Atma, which is the soul. Thank you everyone for listening in.
हमारे YouTube चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और बेल आइकन पर क्लिक कीजिए ताकि आने वाली सभी वीडियो की नोटिफिकेशन आपको मिलती रहे। आप सभी को बहुत बहुत थैंक यू।